10 viewers too, so hopefully hopefully that goes back up because that'd be kind of whack. Are we back? Are we back? Are we back? I think we're back. Okay. Alrighty. I gotta do some stuff real quick. The live streams have definitely been helping my watch hours on YouTube as well, I feel. Because our watch hours are over 100 again. And it's like literally been forever since we've been over 100. So I definitely think the live streams have been helping with that. Gotta open the YouTube stream on my phone. Just so I could keep track of chat in there. Not that anybody really has been too active in there, but we've had a couple of messages in there that I just want to make sure I don't miss any. Alrighty, now I gotta do the promoting stuff real quick. Mistral, thank you for leaving the comments on the Royal Road stuff. I appreciate that. I saw them. I replied to them, I think. Okay, let me put it on. I've been using Threads. Okay, started using Threads on Instagram. Supposedly, it's like a popular spot for writers. I don't know if it's been working or not, but I haven't checked. But you think it help push out the stories? I can check right now. I noticed you left some comments like right before I went to sleep last night. Viewership. I actually think it might have helped. I think we were around like 930 views last time I checked, and we're at 977. And the stories that you commented on, their numbers seem higher than I remember. Like the Morska story has like 115 views now. So I feel like that went up. I should have written down the numbers. I'm gonna, oh my god, I almost knocked my mic off. Let me write that down. 977. These are the numbers we need to remember. 977. 70, 87, 115. I'll check back tomorrow and see if it went up at all. Yo, Vengeance, I appreciate the lurk. Thank you for the lurk. With YouTube, like comments definitely help, but it's not like, you know, it's the difference of it getting like 0 views and like 13. I've noticed versus like it's not making them like blow up. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure things out there. I like Threads, but it's been, yeah, it's like, from what I've seen of Threads so far, it gets like memed on, right? But I heard it's really good for writers and maybe like artists too, I guess. So I've just been messing around with it. Shoot, I need to get back on that. I keep intending to watch and comment, but get the notice during work. Yeah, it's all good, Vengeance. I understand. That's why I just constantly send the pings, because I know everybody's busy, but I get it. It's fine. It's all good. It's obviously not make or breaking us yet, so it's all good. All right, let me make a post on Threads. Why did the camera activate? Is it tracking? I was gonna say I didn't even like lift my hands. It's got a mind of its own. Maybe it's because the desk shakes when I type. I don't know. Yeah, when I type, my camera's going nuts for some reason. Is it dying? I have no idea. It's like flashing lights, and then the light turns off, and then it turns back on, and then it makes the thing like when it's gonna track me. Who knows? Um, yes, it does, but it's a safe space for creativity. Yeah, which is nice. Seems that way anyway from my experience. Yeah, I haven't run into anything like super weird. I mean, I've only been using it for like 2 days though. But everybody on there seems pretty nice so far. Definitely appreciate the pings, knowing how things are going as well, and just seeing the posts usually makes me excited. Yeah. Um I'm gonna talk a little bit about what I mentioned in the Fantasy Distractions Discord here in a second once I finish sharing the stream stuff. But yeah, we got some exciting, potentially exciting things out. I don't wanna get my hopes up yet. YouTube, I heard supposedly thumbnails and titles can be what attracts viewers, but it can still be hit or miss, so it just depends. Yeah. I'm trying a little bit of everything. I mean, some stuff is working, some stuff isn't. And I don't know. I'm still just kind of experimenting right now, see what happens. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna talk a little bit. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't know if I'm even like allowed to talk about it too much. But I had saw this advertisement on Instagram for a writing app, like a reading kind of like short story app that's coming out in March. So I applied to be a writer there, and I had a online meeting with one of the people that is helping put together this app today, and we're thinking about adapting King Ingvar and Kazai's story. I'm gonna make like a longer form version of it. Yeah, what's up, Monster Ward? And I'm gonna write a draft for that and kind of like show them that, and then we're gonna see if they want to take it on as a part of their launch. That's as vague as I could be on it with giving you guys the information of what's happening. So obviously I didn't have time to work on it today, but tomorrow I'll be putting together a I think they want it to be like somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 words. So I'll be putting together like a um 3,000 word version of Ingvar and Kazai's story. And then we'll see how that comes out, and we'll see if we're gonna do something like that. But I don't want to go like too much in detail. They didn't really tell me I couldn't talk about it, but I don't want to like um talk about it if they don't want people talking about it, you know? So that's something I'm gonna be working on tomorrow. And we'll see how that goes. Hopefully the next time I mention it on stream, it'll be really good news and it'll be like greenlit to go and be animated and stuff. So yeah, exciting. Could potentially be huge for us as far as exposure goes, but uh yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm gonna try to make a really good longer form version of it that kind of ties in a lot of the things we've done on Fantasy Distractions already, but tells a more complete story, I guess, because I have more pages to tell it. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, I got something floating. It was just fuzz. Okay. Until then, I probably won't talk about it too much on stream until it's done, but hopefully everything works out. Also, what's up, Monster Ward? I'm doing all right today. Chilling. Today was like kind of crazy day, pretty hectic day. There was a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. We played that. I've been streaming, even though it says 11 minutes. I just ended my stream and restarted it to get it on YouTube. But we've been streaming for like 4 hours already, so I don't know how long I'm gonna go on the stream. But um, yeah, it was a Final Fantasy VII demo. Then we played a little bit of Foam Stars, which is like PS5's Splatoon, and now we're gonna read some stuff. You're doing okay so far? Nice. Happy to hear it. Yeah, I had that little like meeting thing today. It was a hectic day. It was a pretty crazy day, but hopefully all good things, you know, some good things on the horizon. All right, so we need to finish the prequel. Yeah, what's up, Skills? Just chilling, man. How you doing? Where is the story? I think we were on like page 97. We were really close to the end. I'm just gonna set that up, and then yeah, we're on chapter 8. Before I get to that, I guess I'll just talk a little bit about Fantasy Distractions this week. Not a whole lot happening. We had the Tabor story re-release yesterday. One of my like favorite stories. It's one of the first stories we ever wrote, but it's like one of my favorite. Can't complain as usual. Yo, Jake, you're back. What's up, man? Are you drunk yet? Did you drink? Pizza lives. Um, I sure hope not. I don't like eating things that are still alive. I had pizza today, actually. It was dead or not living to begin with. Like I didn't kill the pizza and then eat it. I didn't like have to hunt to survive. But you know what I mean. Um, you still want scars? I haven't come down there to try it yet. Yeah, I haven't. I'm trying a lot of pizza places around the place that we moved to, but like none of it's been that good yet. Not drunk yet. It's only 3:30 p.m., so getting drunk now just sounds depressing. Oh yeah, I forgot you're in like a completely different time zone now. A lot of people have had pizza today, which is just awesome. I mean, pizza's where it's at. All right. So let's talk a little bit about fantasy distractions. First of all, I totally even forgot to mention. I should have mentioned this right at the beginning. Let me change. So if you remember, at the end of, I believe it was Thursday's stream, we hit 359 subscribers, which actually put us up +1 to start the year because we were at -4. So we fought back to be +1. We got another subscriber, I think yesterday. I don't know through what or where or when or how. I don't know if my post that I did on Threads led to a subscriber or not, but we gained a subscriber somewhere. So we're at 360 subscribers. That's huge. I don't know what I'm gonna do when we actually hit 1,000 because like we go up like 1 in like a week and I'm happy. All right. So we're at 360 now. You had a single slice of cheese steak pizza. Yeah, that sounds heavy. I don't think I could have more than one of those. Depends on the toppings, but usually they're pretty filling when they have like toppings like that, I feel. The Tabor story came out, re-release of Tabor came out yesterday. Only got like 14 views, but I mean 14 is more than like these other stories that creep up to like 20. That takes time. Like Wyglass is at 33 now. Like this one got 50. The Nouvelle one did really good. I'm not really sure what I did differently other than a lot of people gave me good feedback about the thumbnail and the background. Nouvelle did really good. Nouvelle's the best performing one that we released to start the year. I don't know if it's the name having like Dream in it, maybe. I tagged it with Dream as well, so I don't know if the word Dream is padding the stats a little bit there, but that one did well, and the Wyglass one did second best, which might just be because of the art. Because the art is pretty cool. I literally got this art made like 10 years ago. But yeah. Is Mistral in here still? Yeah, she's here. It wasn't too heavy, but it was good. Nice. Yeah, yeah. I told him about it. I was like, you got to go look at this comment from Mistral. She left you a really nice comment. I told Tails to Taylor. I think it was. Oh no, I think Cecilia made a comment about Taylor. But yeah, we get some pretty good feedback sometimes, which is really nice. Thanks, dog. I do my best. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to give everybody the option to re-record. Like that's why I kept like pinging everybody and being like, I'm re-recording some of mine because I hate them. And I was kind of hoping like if anybody else was like, oh, I'd like to record mine. But I mean, I'm happy with them as is. Like everybody else's recordings, I just hate mine. So I tried to leave the door open if you wanted to re-record them, but nobody messaged me, so now they're just going up as is. But yeah. I watched that one again after the fact and was honestly like amazed with myself. I forgot how much I enjoyed writing and voicing that one. Yeah. The radio one was really good too. If you go to Comic-Con again this year and I don't get to buy the books, I quit. Skills, just DM me your address and I'll send you the books. Unless you want to buy them in person. The odds of me going to Comic-Con and actually having my books on me are very low. I haven't done that in a long time. So yeah. If you want the books, just let me know. I'll get them to you. Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it was an option. I'm just saying it's an option if you wanted it. But I mean, it's too late now because I've re-uploaded it. But Yeah. So Tabor on Monday. What do we got coming up? I can tell you what we got coming up. Let me switch scenes for a sec. Even though I've shown this outline multiple times on screen. I mean on stream. I don't know why I do this sometimes and other times I don't. So that was Tabor. We got a Marcus story coming out on Friday. Marcus is one of the main characters of a Soldier's Crest. We got a Marcus story coming out Friday. Monday will be the re-upload with the word scrolling for Morska. And then on Friday after that will be a story all about Secromancy, which is also a Soldier's Crest thing. It's basically we talked about it when we were reading the Mira story, but it's the magic that essentially makes like cat girls and orcs and goblins and stuff like that in a Soldier's Crest. So that'll be next Friday. In between all of that, we'll have tomorrow should be Fantasy Short number 6 going live on Spotify. Fantasy Distraction 16 is going on Royal Road on Thursday. Fantasy Short number 7 will be next Wednesday on Spotify, and Fantasy Distraction 17 is going on Royal Road next Thursday. So that pretty much covers the rest of this weekend next week. And then I think that's pretty much it. What's the next one that you did? Let me tell you. The next one of yours. Birch. I don't think you want to re-record Birch. although it's you only have to do his voice for like 2 or 3 lines in that one. It's not like the short where you had to do his voice for the entire short. But the next one you did that we're re-releasing is Birch. That's not coming out until March 18th. March 18th will be the next one. You said you weren't going last year and you went. I did not go to Comic-Con last year. I haven't gone to Comic-Con since before COVID. Though you didn't know though? I didn't go. To be fair, when are we doing a cardboard game for some of the lore? I would love to do that. How do I do that? What are the means? A 10-year-old drawing is fire. It is. I really want to get what are they called? You know those like larger, like thicker Yu-Gi-Oh cards? I forget what they're called. There's a girl who draws them and makes them on Twitch. But her commissions are never open. I wanted to get cards like that made. With the gods and goddesses. I thought that would have been really cool, but I don't know how to do that. I forget what they're called, but they have a name. I could redo that one. Yay, more Jake. Thought a friend of yours was vending and offered you to go. No, I didn't go last year. Yeah, Thursday for us. I don't know how time zones work for you, Jake. Thursday will be showing something that Jake is working on stream. I wasn't sure with the hecticness of today. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it today, so I didn't want to like commit to something, and then I knew Jake was also streaming at some point, so I didn't want it to like be something we had to make a line. Whereas Thursday we can just do it. We're just going to do it. You are? Yeah, I did. I definitely did not go to Comic Con. I wish I did. I haven't been to a convention since before COVID, so I wish I did. Give me one sec. I just want to shut the heat because I'm sweating. I'm muted. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else we got to talk about fantasy distraction wise. Yeah, between now and the ones I was planning to release all the way through to May, I think the Birch one is the only one of yours. I was originally going to do a Tabor. I was going to do a new Tabor one for you to read. I messaged you about that. I'm not doing that anymore. So that one isn't happening. The last one we released this year, possibly, and possibly for a long time, is on my birthday, May 19th. And that one I still have to write, and Cecilia and Janine are gonna voice it. So between now and then, unless you did the Ingvar one. So the Birch one and Ingvar. The Ingvar one is coming out April 8th. The very first Ingvar one that we did, Cut Through Anything, was Fantasy Distraction number 15. That's re-releasing April 8th. That's the only other one that's coming out that you did for me. And everything else is stuff I'm just recording myself or somebody else. I had to record a bunch for this. I still have to record some of them. I recorded Jewel, which came out already, Nouvelle, which came out already. Redid Jack, the first Jack. I also redid both Natalie stories, the Drew story. I didn't re-record Kai. I'm pretty satisfied with the Kai one. What else? I did a lot already for these. The Angelica one that's coming out. There's a Hemlock story that we're doing. 2 new Galaxy Federation stories. There's a Dita story that I had to record. That's new. King Shaw. This other story that's new that takes place during wartime. I recorded a Tesfia story, a Kasha and a K story. It was 3 Galaxy Federation stories. I've been busy. I've been busy. Dying from heat and doesn't drink water. I've literally 2 bottles of water. I didn't finish this one, but 2 bottles of water, man. I'm trying. Snow has a server for Palworld going. If you want to join, just let me know. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've taken a little bit of a break from Palworld because of Grand Blue Fantasy and everything else. Mostly Grand Blue Fantasy, but we've been doing these streams more often, and that I kind of got sidetracked from Palworld. But I might take you up on that when I get back into it because I definitely want to go back and finish. There was a couple of things that I didn't get to do on that game that I want to do. Yeah, I've just been writing and creating and voicing a bunch of content for Fantasy Distractions, but I'm trying to schedule everything up until my birthday. Because of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I know once that comes out, I'm gonna fall off completely on everything. So I want to make sure I have everything done before the end of this month. So that's why I'm like scheduling so much stuff ahead of time. And then now that other thing that I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, that also might side kind of like derail Fantasy Distractions again. But I'm just gonna tell them like if they take if the draft I send them is acceptable, I'm gonna tell them like, hey, like I literally scheduled a bunch of stuff to come out already on the channel. So after that stuff is done, then we'll see how things go. You got fired 2 Fridays ago? I'm sorry to hear, man. Are you like looking for something else, or you're just kind of taking some time to regroup? Are you able to collect unemployment at least? Okay, so what are we doing tonight? That is the question. What we are doing tonight is we are going to finish the Soldier's Crest prequel. I'll do a recap again. This is why I was trying to finish it last week, because I didn't want to do the recap again. What I should have done is I should have edited out my recap from last stream and just played it now. That would have been smart. After we finish this, we have a few options. We could either read some of Moa. We could read some of my first book, the like continuation of this, basically. Or we can do I was thinking about maybe reading some of the one that I put on Kindle Vella live to see if it's worth me continuing. Because it's not really doing well on Kindle Vella. So if I feel like continuing it, I might take it down and maybe continue it on the Fantasy Distractions channel. Especially if we're not going to be continuing Fenrir stories on the channel anymore. So that gives us, like, if I want to pivot and continue the channel, and we need like a new planet to put the stories on. I really liked what I was starting to do with those. Kindle Vella, yeah. Kindle Vella is like what is it? It's episodic stories. It actually plays in really well to like what we do on Fantasy Distractions. Let me pull it up. Hold on. It's episodic stories, but you essentially get the first like 3 episodes for free. Oh my little profile picture for this is so bootleg, dude. Look how bootleg. I made it with Canva, but look at this. Yeah, so it's like you get the first couple of stories for free, right? So like the first 3 stories are free. And then anything after 3, you have to pay for with these keys. How the heck do I have 385 tokens? I don't even know where I got those from, but so like if you wanted to read story 4, you'd have to like pay for it, and then like I would get a cut of that payment. Why is this one only 6 keys and this one is 7? But yeah, so I would like take this down and maybe continue it on the channel. Nothing on my end, but they lied and said I walked out on the job after I texted that I was taking a mental health day. I should be looking or filing for an yeah, you should file for unemployment. Especially if it's like a mental health related thing. I think you could fight that super hard. Trying to find a lawyer or what is with my camera, bro? Camera's freaking out. Did it track me that time? No. No, you could definitely get unemployment, but yeah, if you want to look into like maybe digging a little deeper because it was like a mental health day and they like fired you for it. It's a lot better not being there. Yeah, like you know what? Sometimes if it's like a toxic environment, you're better off. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle while you regroup and like get things situated, but in the long run, it's probably for the best. Yeah, I mean we can dabble a little bit in that after we finish the prequel. See what you guys think. The first character the very first character that I made on there is very very Set-esque. Set from League of Legends. Because they call him like the boss and stuff. But the story was good. I thought we can dabble with that a little bit. I also lied on the paperwork and said I refused work, which I didn't sign for termination. Like when they fired you. I have a lot of grounds, just never done this before, so no idea what to do. Yeah, definitely contact a lawyer and see what your options are. You mean like they went to terminate you and they said you refused to sign the termination papers? The story about the gamer girl was one of my books. It was like book 9 or whatever. Do you want me to read that one in full? We could do that too. We can read that whole thing, since we only kind of like read. I just read like their gamer tags last time. Yeah, we could do that. So we could do. Let's finish the prequel. We'll see. We'll see how my voice holds up. I'm gonna leave myself a note. We'll finish the prequel. We'll do the. That's the Nyla story. We'll do the Nyla story, and we'll do and then maybe we'll dabble a little bit and we'll try like one or two of stories from Ganymede. I need to change the name. Um, Paper for termination said that I refused to work, which isn't true, so I didn't sign it. Oh, okay. I kept it, and there's a lot of witnesses who can vouch for it. Okay, that's a little different. We used to have that all the time in Target, where like you would whenever we would like fire people. I never terminated anybody, but whenever I sat in on terminations, but I never actually terminated anybody. But the no one would ever sign that paper. I don't think I ever saw anybody sign the paper because you could refuse to sign it, and I don't think anybody ever actually signed it. Those were some awkward meetings that were very very weird. I think I'm actually gonna. I know we usually start the stream standing. I'm gonna sit down. Uh, just because I feel like sitting down. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick, and then we're gonna start. I'm gonna do a very quick recap on the prequel stuff. We're gonna wrap up the prequel, and then we'll do the Nyla story. Isn't very long. I don't remember how many pages I had, but it was like maybe 15 pages. And then the stories from Gannonbrand are like fantasy distraction length, so they're like 2 to 4 pages tops. So those are short. But then we'll see how we feel after that, since I've already been streaming for like 5 hours, and that's like my normal stream length. But give me 1 sec, I'll be right back. Okay, I know we just stood up, but we're gonna sit back down. I'm gonna recap the story again for the second time. It's only the second time I've had to recap it, at least. So that's not too bad. All right. So, how much did we read last? What were we at last time? Should I just read it? Do we need a recap? I think mostly everybody who was here last stream. What do we think? Recap or no recap? Actually wasn't going to be surprised if you skipped the writing stream since you streamed so long, but I'm glad you kept going. Yeah, we're definitely gonna. I'm gonna go as far as I can. I don't think we're gonna make it that far. Like maybe like maybe like another hour or two. But yeah. Honestly, that Foam Stars game, because of all the bright lights and stuff, gave me a little bit of a headache. That would be the only reason. Otherwise, I think I could probably go the full length here. Just continue where you left off. Okay, let's just. If anybody's like confused about anything, just ask me in chat. We are kind of at the end of the prequel story, though, so I mean, there is going to be some stuff that was missed, but we'll just jump right in. So maybe we could get that other stuff done before I call it here. All right. Chapter 8. When the knights reached Dreadsmirk, the entrance to the town was relatively quiet. It's quiet, but there's people lined up over there, Grimoire said. We should take a look. As they made their way to the townspeople lined up outside their homes, Faris appeared before them and started walking beside Wyglav. I checked a few villages on the way, no signs of the dragons. They're here, though. I told as many people as I could to stay toward the edge of the town or leave if they could afford to, Faris explained. Wyglav readied his sword and shield. The other knights prepared for battle as well. How many dragons? Well, it was hard to tell. It's a bunch of purple-cloaked dragons, some were turning invisible. There was one slightly larger one with a marking on his face that I assume is leading this group. Faris took out the dagger Griffin gave him as they made their way to the center of the town. There's a large square opening coming up, but that was the last I had seen them. As they approached, there was a lot of noise pointing them in the right direction. Steel meeting steel, and the yells of both dragon and man. A fight broke out? Grimoire questioned as he looked at Tarjan, the knight closest to him. Sounds that way, added Dawn, who had finally gathered herself despite the traumatic event she just experienced. If so, whoever it is, they're in danger and we need to help them. Wyglav led the way as they ran out into the center of the town. Surrounded by the dragons were two men. One of the men was holding two swords. He had red hair that went down to just above his chin. His leather armor covered his body from his neck to his feet, but his arms were left bare. The man's physique almost rivaled Tarjan's, and his stance told Wyglav that his experience was vast. Griffin, I know his deal now that I'm reading the book. Yeah, see? Told you he's a jerk. Standing back to back with the dual-wielding man was a boy who looked to be in his teens. He had short black hair, similar leather armor, and the sword he was wielding had a black handle with a crimson-red blade. Looks like they can hold their own, said Grimoire. That means they're going to get to have all the fun if we don't hurry, yelled Tarjan as he rushed in to help. The first dragonkin Tarjan approached got a fist directly to the jaw. Without concern for his surroundings, another dragonkin almost blindsided him, but Dawn leapt into the air and came crashing down on it with her spear. Grimoire began blasting the dragons with water as he worked his way to the middle. Wyglav followed suit, slicing and shield bashing his way through. Looked like you two could use some help, Wyglav said to the man wielding the two swords. Thanks, the man replied. I'm Azadan. This is Valak. Azadan, also a friend from Final Fantasy XI days. Shout out to Azadan. My boy Scott. Scotty! He's never going to see this, probably. Nice to meet you, Grimoire added through a grunt as he pushed back the dragons. We've already beaten quite a few of these things. They just keep coming, said Valak. Have you seen a larger one with more tattoos and no cloak? Wyglav asked. No, the ones we've fought are all wearing purple cloaks, answered Azadan. The one I speak of is called Arok Doomcaller, and he's the one leading these attacks. If he isn't here, then Diremore may be in danger, said Wyglaff. Varys finally joined them, dashing through 2 dragonkin before joining their side. Should I head to Diremore? That was Griffin's thinking if Arok wasn't here, said Wyglaff. We should be fine now with Azadan and Valak helping us. I'm going, then. Varys vanished before their eyes, kicking up some dust as he went. Super speed? Asked Valak. Something like that, answered Grimoire with a shrug. That's a very strong and dangerous art, Azadan said. Azadan? I don't know why I said Azadon. Azadan said. Yeah, we're happy he's on our side, Wyglaff added. The group's attention was immediately drawn to Tarjan, who had mounted a nearby dragonkin and was punching it repeatedly in the face. Dawn was guarding him with her spear when the former champion of Tark stood up triumphantly, as he does. The blood splatter on his chest and face were more of a trophy than a disgust. You guys just gonna stand there and hold hands the whole time, or are you gonna help me kill these things? Do we have to kill them? Can't we just injure them and lock them up somewhere? Asked Dawn. Are you crazy? Tarjan stepped over the dragon he just pummeled. You think they're planning to lock us up? Until we have more information, I think it's fair to say kill or be killed, Wyglaff said. It's not pretty or the best way, but if this is the start of a war, then we need to bring it to them. Exactly. Bring it to them. So get over here, Tarjan said, waving his comrades over. I saw some of them run this way. What about the ones here? Valak asked. You didn't kill those yet? Tarjan walked over to them. Let's do it. Tarjan flew past Wyglaff and planted another fist on an unexpected dragonkin. Valak joined him, utilizing his red sword to incapacitate another dragon and leave an opening for Grimoire to hit the next one with a pillar of water. The pillar smashed the dragon into the ground and then raised it up in the air on a geyser before smashing it into the ground a second time. What's the story behind the sword? Asked Dawn. Her and Azadan were further behind and killed one of the dragons together. Valak's wielding a legendary sword created by the blacksmiths Auric Lagra and Hammered-in Chime. The sword was given to the Hallstar family and passed on from generation to generation, but no one was able to wield it until Valak tried. Azadan's story was interrupted by another dragon. He sidestepped the attack and slashed it twice with his swords before crouching to the ground to give Dawn an opportunity to deliver the finishing blow. She took advantage of it and stabbed her spear through its eye. He's still learning to control its power, but he improves greatly with it each day of training. When both of them looked up, a dragonkin appeared out of thin air and swiped at Valak with a large dagger. Valak dodged the attack, but being surprised put him off balance, and he crashed to the floor. The concern on Azadan's face caused Dawn to act, and she used her agility to weave through the other knights and the dragons between them. Just as the now visible dragon went to cut Valak, Dawn got in between and blocked the attack with the shaft of her spear. She twisted her arms to force the dragonkin off balance, and Valak jumped up and stabbed it through the chest with his sword. Thanks for the save, he looked back at her with a smile. You know our names now, but none of you introduced yourselves. I'm Dawn, she replied. The rest of the dragonkin were all on the ground, dying or dead. The other knights approached them. This is Wyglaff and Grimoire. The crazy one still punching things over there is Tarjan. The one with the speed-based art is Varys. Wow, you're all Knights of Bawal? Dawn's introductions piqued Valak's interest. A few of us are, officially. The rest were recruited for this mission, answered Wyglaff. What's your relationship? Asked Dawn. Azadan is teaching me how to wield this sword and master my art, said Valak. Ah, another teacher, Wyglaff said with a grin. I train the Knights of Bawal. We have to discuss strategies when this is over, Azadan added. In the meantime, we should make our way over to Diremore to help the others, Grimoire said. If Arok isn't here, then I'm afraid Gerard was right in his assumptions. Conversation was interrupted by a loud roar. When the knights turned to face the noise, there were 2 dragonkins in purple cloaks. One had his hood down. It should just be dragonkin. I think it's like plural. One had his hood down, a large black marking surrounding his left eye. The other, despite having its hood over its large head, had a visible yellow scar down the middle of its face. That's the one Varys hit, said Dawn. Drake Hate Stitch is what Griffin called him, added Grimoire. And the other one, Azadan asked. Not sure, but I think it's safe to assume that that's Arok's right-hand man, said Wyglaff. He's not to be taken lightly. But he is to be taken, Tarzan stepped in front of them. I call dibs. Tarzan, wait, we should think of a strategy, Wyglaff shouted. But Tarzan was already en route. His first wild swing was easily avoided with a simple backstep, and the larger dragonkin put Tarzan in a headlock. Why does nobody listen? Wyglaff added with a sigh. It's not that no one listens, said Grimoire. Just Tarzan, apparently. The larger dragonkin shouted something in his language before throwing Tarzan to the side. It pounded its chest and roared before proclaiming itself Cole the Typhoon. Well, that settles that, said Azadan. Azadan was next to charge in with Valak close behind him. His first swipe was sidestepped by Cole. The second landed across the beast's chest, but it was unfazed. It spun around, catching Azadan with its tail. Valak took the opportunity to slash at its back, but the attack was blocked by Hate Stitch. Growling in Valak's face, Hate Stitch shook its head to further reveal the yellow scar Faris gave it, then used the pressure it was applying on Valak's sword to push him aside. It pointed its dagger at Wyglaff. They're familiar with you now, Grimoire said with a laugh. I don't see why that's funny. Wyglaff covered as much of his body with his shield as he could. Just watch my flank. Wyglaff blocked the first strike of Hate Stitch's dagger with his shield, then launched a counterattack with his sword. Before making contact, Hate Stitch turned invisible. Don't worry, Wyglaff, I got this. Just buy me some time, Grimoire shouted, then slammed his palms together and began chanting. I'll help, Dawn yelled, rushing to Wyglaff's side. She swung her spear around in a large circle to ensure Hate Stitch wasn't nearby. Grimoire finished his spell, then raised his arms into the air. Suddenly it began to rain in Dreadsmirk. The pattering of the raindrops did enough to reveal Hate Stitch's location, even when he was invisible. That should help. Now with sights on him, Dawn stabbed her spear in Hate Stitch's direction, but the beast parried it. His art now useless, Hate Stitch thought it best to turn tail and run, so he did. The large footprints were amplified by the puddles forming beneath him as he ran. Useless, roared Cole, though none of the knights understood him. He barreled forward and used his large skull to knock Tarzan to the ground. He used his left hand to swat Azadan to the side, and his right to do the same to Valak. Now in front of Wyglaff, Grimoire, and Dawn, he roared once more. This time he blew smoke and fire into the sky. I hope you're cooking up a plan, Wyglaff, Grimoire said as all three knights slowly backed away from the dragon. Still cooking. Oh, let him cook. I was ahead of my time. Let him cook. Wyglaff's cooking. Let him cook. All right. Still cooking. For now, shoot water, try to survive. Wyglaff made sure his shield was in front of Dawn and Grimoire, who stood directly behind him. I can do that, Grimoire said as he created another pillar of water, though this time it was beneath himself. He shot himself into the air, then put his palms together once more to shoot a direct blast of water at Cole's face. The beast flinched, then shook its head. Grimoire floated back down to the ground. I think I made him more angry than he was before. Cole ran towards them. He removed two large bone swords from his waist. The blades were similar to Arok's, though smaller in size since Cole was smaller than Arok. Once readied in his hands, the dragon began to spin wildly, his tail and the two swords creating a dangerous whirlwind. The first swing grazed Dawn's shoulder before connecting with Wyglaff's shield. The impact forced him to the ground and onto his back. Grimoire jumped backwards himself to avoid the attack. We need to get Dawn out of there, yelled Grimoire to Wyglaff, who was still gathering himself. Dawn was just underneath the attacks. She laid down on the ground to further avoid them, but the dragon's tail was close to her on every rotation. Suddenly, the dragon stopped. When Dawn looked up, she saw Tarzan holding its tail with both arms. Dawn tried to get up, but the dragon swung one sword at her, despite Tarzan halting its progress. Dawn rolled out of the way of the first attack, but Cole anticipated her movements and began swinging where she stopped. Unable to avoid the attack, Dawn put her spear up to brace for impact, but the attack never reached her. Instead, Valak slid on the muddy ground created by Grimoire's rain and scooped Dawn up in his arm and returned her to her feet. Thanks, Dawn yelled, even though Valak was standing right next to her. You saved my life on that one. We're not safe yet, Valak said, stepping in front of her to protect her. Cole shook its tail to remove Tarzan from it and ran directly for Valak. I'll stun it, but you need to be ready. I'll be ready. Dawn pushed her black hair from her face, then stood with her legs ready to pounce, and the head of her spear pointed forward. Grimoire ran up beside them. Put your feet in the water I make, Valak, and I'll provide you with the opening. All right. Valak looked past Cole through an opening between its arms and nodded to Azadan, who was ready on the other side. Now! Upon Valak's command, Grimoire created a bridge that went over Cole's head. Valak put his feet in the water as Grimoire instructed, and the current had so much force it shot Valak over the dragonkin and onto the other side. Right as Valak landed there, Azadan rolled in the opposite direction to get in front of Cole. The dragon attacked, but Azadan parried each attack with his swords. While Cole was distracted, Valak clutched the handle of his sword. The already crimson blade turned an even darker red before Valak raised it and shot a blast of red energy into the dragon's back. The attack forced Cole to drop his swords and stagger forward, where Azadan seized the opportunity and went to stab both of his swords into the dragon's stomach. But Cole was ready. He grabbed both of Azadan's swords with his large bare hands, and once again roared loudly. He threw Azadan aside, but caught the tip of Dawn's spear in his throat. Dawn used the spear to climb up the dragon's large frame, and removed her spear for her second attack, but Cole threw her off with his left hand. Can't have much more left in the tank, said Grimoire. Stabbed its neck, opened up its back. Can it just die already? Feeling the effects of Valak's attack on its back, Cole began to roar and swing his arms and tail wildly. These things don't have much of a structured offense, observed Wyglaff. As it spun in the opposite direction of the knights, Tarzan planted another fist on its jaw, then added 2 more punches to the stomach. The attacks caused Cole to hang his head over and grip his stomach with both hands. Tarzan put 2 more punches on Cole's face, but the dragon threw both hands forward and backhanded Tarzan away. Another wild swing toward the other knights found a waiting Wyglaff, who did some swatting of his own, and swatted Cole's attack with his shield, before stabbing his sword diagonally into its stomach and up towards its chest. Cole roared once more and grabbed at Wyglaff's back before falling awkwardly to the side. That has to be it, right? Asked Azadan, staring down at the dead dragon. If it gets up from that, then I don't know what else to say, replied Wyglaff. Look, Dawn pointed to one of the houses. The people are coming out. The townspeople that were still in their houses began to emerge, and those that Faris saved by taking to the outskirts of the town entered the square, though still keeping their distance from the dead dragon. They began to clap and cheer. Grimoire was waving and raising his arms in response. Tarzan was nodding his head, as this was something he was used to, but Wyglaff remained all business. Enjoy the moment, but we need to get to Diremore. We can't wait here. Wyglaff turned to Azadan and offered his hand. Want to come with us? Azadan accepted the gesture. I think Valak and I should remain here to help clean this mess up, and just in case more dragons show up. Understood. Wyglaff shook Valak's hand as well. Thank you for the assist. Anytime, Valak responded. Alright, chapter 9. I did an awful lot of, like, will they, won't they join at this point. Like, if you read the first book, this is a prequel. Thank you, Mistral, thank you. This is a prequel at this point, so if you read the first book, you know Valak joins, you know Dawn joins, you know Faris is there. But I did a lot of, like, Wyglaff goes to scout Dawn and Faris, and then he says no. Then they recruit them anyway. Like, just now they were like, Valak, you want to come with us? And he's like, nah, I think I should stay. It's like, I did a lot of, like, you know they join, but, like, I don't know. It's pretty funny. Alright, chapter... I probably thought I was clever for that. The blood scene in the beginning of the chapter was cool, and Wyglaff got to be babysitting everyone. Yeah, he kind of just, like what I describe him as, like, their chaperone or whatever. He's, like, chaperoning a school trip whenever they do stuff together. Diremore was similar to Dreadsmirk when the knights entered, but there were no people lined up on the outskirts of the town. Instead, they all remained inside. This chapter should have the Meryl fantasy distraction, like, woven into it. Like, you'll see, but it's where I, like, plucked that story out of. It's easier for me to follow along now that I'm familiar with the characters. Yeah, you can tell that I wrote it after, which is interesting. Diremore was similar to Dreadsmirk when the knights entered, but there were no people lined up on the outskirts of the town. Instead, they all remained inside. Griffin saw no signs of dragons when they entered, and Gerard began to push. I don't know why I said Gerard like that. And Gerard began to rush toward his home. Iria stayed close to Griffin's side. He shouldn't run in by himself, Iria said. Agreed, but when our family is in danger, it makes us act without thinking, Griffin replied. Do you have any family, Iria? No, none that I know of. I can't recall the earlier years of my life. Iria walked ahead of Griffin now, checking alleyways and building windows. You have family in the Dragon Knights now. Griffin checked the opposite side of the street. Don't forget that. Iria couldn't help but smile despite the eerie situation they were in. Griffin, the loud voice of Gerard's, the loud voice was Gerard's, and it came from the center of the village. Griffin and Iria exchanged glances before running toward it. They found Gerard standing in front of 5 dragonkin who were guarding his home. Arak was not among them, but revealed himself shortly after. He didn't stand in front of Gerard's home, but instead stood in front of one of the nearby houses. Family is important, the dragonkin began, though the knights could not understand him. I hope mine come to understand my actions here today. Arak pointed at Gerard's home. Then I thought it said Arak was not among them. Oh, revealed himself shortly after. Okay. I was like, why is Arak talking? He's not there. But he came out. It would help if I paid attention. Arak pointed at Gerard's home, then turned and pointed to the house behind him. He looked right at Gerard as his eyes began to turn red, then blew fire all over the house behind him. Save them or save your family, the beast shouted in his language before roaring into the sky, his fellow dragonkin joining his cries. Iria and I will help the people in the building. Make a path to your family. Griffin ran toward the burning building. Faris whizzed past everyone and slid beside Gerard. Great timing, Faris, Gerard said as he readied his mace. That's kind of my thing, said Faris. The dagger Griffin gave him already in his hand. Griffin shielded his face before kicking open the door to the burning building. Iria used her extra arms to navigate her way to a nearby set of stairs where she heard screaming on the floor above. I'll check the top, you check the bottom, she yelled as she went up the stairs. Be careful, replied Griffin. Upstairs were 3 young girls. The moment Iria entered the room, 2 of the girls began to cower in fear against the nearest wall of the room, ignoring the fire. What happened? Asked the 3rd girl. Stay off the walls. It's hot and dangerous. They're afraid of me, Iria said. I'm sorry. It's my aura. Why? The third girl looked at Iria for a long moment. Number 13th. Hey, how's it going? We're just chilling, reading some of my own, my old writings. But how are you doing tonight? Why? The third girl looked at Iria for a long moment. You have 6 arms. That's not that scary. You're not affected by my aura? Iria stepped closer and the girl did not budge. Also, Meryl unfazed by her having 6 arms. How is that possible? I'm not feeling any difference since you got here, but my friends aren't having the same luck, said the girl. Iria backed away to help her friends get back to normal. The girl gathered her friends close. Make way for us. I can get them downstairs. Iria returned to the first floor where Griffin was waiting. We need to get out. This place is coming down, Griffin yelled. You're doing good. I'm happy to hear that. We've been, despite the fact that it probably says we've only been live for like an hour and 5 minutes, we've been going for like 5 hours, but we gamed a little bit. We tried the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo. We've played a little bit of Foam Stars, and now we're just winding down with some late night reading. We need to get out. This place is coming down, yelled Griffin yelled. The people on the first floor got caught in the initial flame. Any luck upstairs? As Iria walked past Griffin, the 3 girls from upstairs came down, surrounded by a blue bubble that pushed aside the flames and allowed the 3 girls to exit unscathed. Griffin exited last. What was that? Griffin asked. My art, said the girl, pushing aside her short blonde hair that was messy and covering her eyes. You create force fields? Asked Iria. I do that. I'm not great at it. The girl looked disappointed that she couldn't do more, then put out her hand in Iria's direction. I'm Meryl, by the way. I don't shake hands, said Iria. I'm Griffin, this is Iria, said Griffin. You need to get out of here. We should keep her around, said Iria. She isn't affected by my aura for some reason. Is that true? Griffin asked Meryl. Seems that way, Meryl shrugged. Arok was furious that anyone survived his attack and was still standing close to the building. He once again roared, then his eyes lit red. I don't know where that accent came from, but his eyes lit red. When he went to blow fire, nothing happened. Dumbfounded, the beast stepped back and grabbed his throat with his right hand. He tried again, his eyes lit up red once more, but nothing but a little smoke came out. Are you doing that? Griffin looked at Meryl. Not intentionally if I am, she responded. Meryl covered her body with her ragged clothing as if she had something to be embarrassed about. Good idea to keep her around, Griffin said to Iria. Looks like you lose, Arok. The rest of my knights will be here soon from Dreadsmirk. You outsmarted us for the last time. You're not a fan of Final Fantasy VII? You like 15 more. 15, I still gotta finish. 15 and 16 are the only two I never completed, and some of like the spin-offs. Like I didn't beat X2 and I didn't beat some of the 13 sequels. I gotta go back and finish 15. 16 I got like a decent amount done, and then I had surgery, so it sidetracked me, and then I never went back for some reason. And then 15, I keep trying to get into 15, and then like I just can't like really get into it because something always comes out that like distracts me from it, and then I try to get back into it, and then something distracts me, and so on and so forth. But Mistral, who's in our chat, she really likes 15 also, and I think we're gonna do a playthrough of it eventually. We're gonna eventually get to that. I don't know when. Obviously, Rebirth is gonna take up a lot of my time, but don't forget, I want to finish it though. I want to finish that in 16, so we might as well do 15 first and then 16. Or maybe just continue our marathon, because I think we were at like 9. Maybe just do like 9 through 16 at some point. I've already beaten 9, 10. I played a lot of 11. I beat 12. I beat regular 13. And I played a lot of 14. So those I've technically beaten already. So we either jump right into the ones I haven't finished, or we pick up where I left off on the last marathon that we did. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Okay. Arok removed the bone blade from around his waist. He drew a line in the dirt in front of him. I've already won, Arok said in the Dragonkin language. Help Gerard, said Griffin. Arok is mine. Griffin ran towards the dragon, removing his sword and clashing blades with the large beast. Iria led Meryl around the fight and joined Gerard and Faris in clearing out the Dragonkin in front of his home. Can you fight? Iria asked. I've never fought anyone or anything before, Meryl said. I'm just an orphan here. People in the house I was in were the ones caring for me and the other girls. Okay, take one of my swords just in case. Iria handed her one of the swords she got from the Windar shed. Meryl stayed back and held the sword awkwardly in her hands, hoping she wouldn't have to swing it. Iria ran up beside Gerard and slashed at the dragonkin he was fighting. While those dragonkin were being dealt with, Griffin and Arok continued to exchange blows. I know you can't understand me, but this war is happening because of our actions on this day, Griffin began. You think I don't know that? Arok laughed. Griffin's face immediately displayed his shock, as Arok's words were in English. Everything I've done today guarantees war between the humans and the dragons. Then our goals are similar, Griffin said with a laugh of his own. I wanted the war with your people just as bad. Then win or lose, we both get what we want, Arok answered. Despite his loud voice, the other knights were too far away to hear him. There isn't a choice, Griffin said. He stepped back to give them space. No win or lose for you, I'm afraid. Just lose. The light from the fire in the building behind Griffin created a large shadow beneath the dragon. The shadows rose off the ground and formed hands that grabbed the dragonkin's tail and legs and pinned it to the ground. There is a very powerful mage in Bawal who does my bidding. He can control shadows. Griffin walked around Arok as he spoke. The dragon tried to grab him, but he was just out of reach. He's making this fight easy for me, as he did with Avernax when I slayed him. Griffin completed a circle around the dragon. Two more shadow hands tied up the dragon's arms, forcing him to drop his sword. Griffin walked right up to Arok's face. You think you're the one who started this war? No. You don't deserve that credit. This war is mine. I'd send you to warn Highborn, but you're dead. You're dead. Arok went to speak, but Griffin drove his sword into the beast's throat. Arok tried to grab Griffin, but the shadows prevented him. The blood in Arok's throat began to gurgle as he collapsed to the ground. I will enjoy wiping out your kind, Griffin said as he knelt down beside Arok's limp body. As he stood up, he saw Wyglaff, Tarzan, Dawn, and Grimoire entering the town from behind one of the houses. Grimoire, help me out with this fire problem. He pointed at the house behind him with his thumb. Is that Arok? Asked Wyglaff. Yes, he won't be terrorizing humans any longer, said Griffin. Look at you, started Tarzan. Here I was thinking you couldn't fight. Why would you think that? Asked Griffin, slightly offended. You just seem like the type of guy to hide in the shadows and let everyone else do your dirty work for you. Tarzan laughed. I guess I have a new respect for you. Arok say anything in our language we could use to prevent this war from happening? Asked Dawn. Nothing I can understand, lied Griffin. Grimoire finished putting out the fire behind them. Gerard, Iria, and Faris should be in the building over there. When the other knights entered the building, they saw a similar scene that worried them. Blood on the floor and walls. The whole house was turned upside down in an obvious struggle. When the knights reached the last room in the back of the house, they found Gerard standing there with Faris, Iria, and Merrill behind him, a pile of bodies in front of him. My mother, Gerard began, and all of my siblings. The rest of the knights entered the room. Wyglaff walked over and hugged Gerard, whose tears began to run down his face and onto Wyglaff's armor. Gerard patted Wyglaff's chest before separating from him. Amelie's body was draped on top of the pile. Gerard picked her up and cradled her in the same fashion that Dawn held her mother. This is all my fault, Gerard said. I should have never left you. This isn't your fault, Gerard, said Griffin, stepping forward to join him and Wyglaff. This is the fault of the Dragonkin, of Arok Doomcaller in his pursuit to make this personal. Griffin turned to face the rest of his Dragon Knights. We can't continue to let these monsters inhabit the same earth as us. We can't continue to let them roam unchecked, waiting in the wings to destroy our lands and take what is ours. Dawn's family, Gerard's family, the entire city of Davish. This is just the beginning. The Dragon King got a taste of how easy it would be to burn our world to the ground, and they aren't going to stop there. No, I know. For Amelie was an awesome character. I kind of wish I didn't do this. What do you suggest? Asked Grimoire. We return to Bawal for now and regroup. Get Iria armed with proper weapons and analyze Merrill and find out what she can really do with her art. Train, not only with Wyglaff, but with each other. Learn from each other and get ready. Then we march on the Mundus Draconum. There was fire in Griffin's eyes. They want to bring the fight to our homes, our families, then I say we do the same to them. Yeah, she was a cool character. I should have kept her alive. I kill a lot of characters in this series that I probably shouldn't have. The next few days were pivotal for the Knights. Dawn and Gerard took time to mourn, but also found comfort in getting outside and training. Dawn spent most of her time with Wyglaff, learning the ropes and expanding on the techniques that her father taught her. Faris spent most of his time with Grimoire and Gerard to get a different aspect on things and master his speed. Tarzan didn't need much training, but Wyglaff convinced him to help train the others in hand-to-hand combat. Iria spent the majority of her time with Griffin. Her fascination with him grew stronger with each day, mainly for the fact that she considered him the one who saved her. Yeah, things are getting serious. She continued to master her art along the way. She also spent a lot of time with Merrill, since she was the only one who could fully withstand her aura. The necromancer of Bawal, Shadow, utilized a sample of Merrill's blood to improve on his design for the bracelets that protected the knights from Iria's aura. He also ran tests on Iria to try to find the source of her power, but didn't have much luck in finding the cause of the aura itself. It shows a direct impact to the main character, so that's good. They have a reason to be connected to the war. Yeah, it like kind of ties everything together. It's things that I didn't really flesh out as well in the first book, unfortunately. Like you might not see too much reference to this. That's part of the reason why I want to rewrite it. because I've fleshed out the Dragon Knights so much more since it released that I kind of want to like rewrite the book in a way that it's a little condensed, simpler, and like includes some more backstory for the characters. But I don't know. You can tell me how you feel about it when you finish reading it. No rush, but I'll take that feedback when you get there. The Necromancer from Bawal's Shadow. I read all that. The most troublesome thing for all of the knights was the fact that Rapez, who had helped them early on in the start of this journey, was nowhere to be found when they returned to Bawal. Having been closest with him, this bothered Wiglaf the most, and he sought answers. Those answers would come on the docks of Azuldra, where one of the first boats ever made on Chroma had just been finished being built. I was going to mention that to you, but you're always a step ahead. Yeah, you got to finish it first. There's your boy. Yeah, your boy is back. Those answers would come on the docks of Azuldra, where one of the first boats ever made on Chroma had just been finished being built. The aforementioned missing Bawal knight walked through the island closest to the water in Azuldra. Asone. I don't remember the name of the village being that. On Asone, I assume it's pronounced Asone. I don't know. There had been built a great dock. I should know this. But there had been okay. My brain stopped working. Hold on one second. Rebooting. There had been built a great dock in anticipation for this day when residents of Chroma would be able to sail the seas. Beside Rapez walked Azadan. So how does this work? Asked Azadan. The Milwake family has designed a device called the Shoreliner that calms the raging seas around Chroma and around the boat, therefore letting us sail, explained Rapez. Sounds interesting, Azadan responded. I wonder what the islands around Chroma are like. Ready to be two of the first few to find out? Rapez said with a smile, but his smile soon vanished at the sight of Wiglaf, who was leaning against a random array of wooden boxes just in front of the boat. Make your final preparations, then meet me here. Azadan nodded, then walked past Wiglaf toward another set of wooden boxes, where Valak was waiting for him. The two began talking, but Rapez zoned them out completely when Wiglaf broke the silence. I just want to know why, Wiglaf started. Rapez looked away from him, tongue pressing the inside of his cheek. Why weren't you at the Windar mansion when we got there? You want the honest truth? Rapez leaned on a banister across from Wiglaf that created a ramp to the ship. I saw the dragons when I got there. They were already surrounding the mansion, so I ran. You ran away? Wiglaf stood up straight. Those dragons slaughtered Dawn's family. They would have killed me too if I went in there. Rapez stood up firmly as well. I should have never became a Knight of Bawal. I'm not willing to throw my life away so easily. With you, they had a fighting chance, Rapez. You left them there to die. Wiglaf's loud voice drew the attention of the others around the dock. What do you want me to say, Wiglaf? That I'm a coward? Rapez started to turn away, but Wiglaf grabbed his arm and turned him back to face him. I don't need you to say it. I already know you are. Wiglaf's words cut deep. I thought I was starting to figure out the type of man you were, but I was wrong. I was completely wrong. The boat is leaving soon, and I'm in charge of making the preparations, Rapez said, turning away from Wiglaf once more. Go, then. Go discover new places. I'll be here fighting for and protecting the one we already call home. Wiglaf said as he watched Rapez get onto the ship. You will have to live with the death of Dawn's family the rest of your life. Azadan got onto the ship while they were talking, and the bridge of the ship pulled in shortly after Rapez got on. The boat began sailing away from Wiglaf, who stared it down as it left. That was tough to watch, Valak said as he walked up to Wiglaf. You all right? Yeah, this is I don't need you to say it, I already know you are. That's a pretty good one. There's so much more to that story, so don't count your man out just yet. But it does not paint Rapez in a good light, for sure, here. That was rough to watch, Valak said as he walked up to Wiglaf. You alright? I'm fine, Wyglav said. Why didn't you go with them? Azadan is your mentor. Azadan and I both discovered something when we helped you fight those dragons. Valak leaned on the banister that Rapez was leaning on earlier. Turns out I'm a better fighter now than both of us realized. He made it clear that there wasn't much more he could teach me and that I should go out and explore the world on my own. Exploring on your own is not nearly as fun as exploring with a group. Take it from an old man who knows a thing or two, Wyglav replied. Is that an invite? Valak laughed. I think you would make a fine knight of Bawal, Wyglav said. I'm not just saying that. I saw the way you fight with that sword. Yeah, the sword makes me look better than I actually am, Valak said. Not sure I'm knight material. But you certainly know how to handle a group of dragons, Wyglav said. We're forming a group to bring the fight to them. You don't need to make a decision right away, but if you want to join us, just come see me at Bawal. Even if you don't want to join, I might be able to teach you some things that Azadan left out. That is my original job, anyway. Thanks for the offer, I'll keep that in mind. Valak offered his hand to Wyglav and he accepted the gesture. There's a lot of handshaking going on. You've been highlighting lines in the book that I like? Nice. That's awesome. that's so awesome. You definitely got to share some of those with me when you can. This story is very heavily Wyglav centered that I don't remember. I always used to say this is like kind of Dawn's standalone story in a sense, but Wyglav's got some really good moments in here as well. This is the epilogue. We're at the end here. 3 more pages. When Griffin next stepped foot in Diremore was on behalf of Gerard, the first knight that joined his cause to put an end to the Dragonkin. Griffin kept his distance and watched Gerard from afar. Gerard stood in front of a small cemetery made beside the Pace Manor, with a bouquet of flowers in his hand. His mother and his siblings' tombstones a reminder of his choices and his mistakes. Wyglav's really cool. Yeah, I like him. I don't remember using him as much, but he's definitely a character that I like a lot. He gets like very underestimated because he's like old, but his art is actually really strong. He tore into my boy, but had to give him some cold hard truth. Yeah, tough love for sure. Tough love. It was wrong of me to leave, Gerard began, tears building in his eyes. You all deserve so much better. From me, from Dad, from this world. I left the burden on Amelie, and the one time I could have made a difference for her, I wasn't even there until it was too late. I didn't even get to say goodbye. Gerard knelt down and placed the flowers on Amelie's grave, which was positioned in the middle of their family. This world was never fair to you. There was no reason you should have paid for my mistakes. I want you to know that the beasts that did this to you, they will pay for what they've taken from us. In the months that would follow, the newly formed Dragon Knights would spar and teach each other to become 10 of the most efficient and feared fighters on Chroma, the 10th member eventually being Valak, who chose to join the Knights after Wyglav's invitation, and discovering that Wyglav was right. Exploring the world by yourself can get boring after a while. Rapez and those who joined him on that journey to the islands outside Chroma would not be heard from for years. Griffin's continued pleas to King Rebel for more knights to fight the dragons would also continue to fall on deaf ears, as would his attempts to get the support of Sanctivale, Azuldra, and Rubrum. In the end, it would remain the 10 knights who he recruited with Wyglav and Gerard's help. 10 against thousands. On the eve before the Dragon Knights would battle the Dragonkin on their home turf known as Mundus Draconum, Wyglav stood in the middle of the Davish Fields, the same place where Windar Mansion once stood. People continued to run the farms and grow fruit, but there was zero structure and most of the residents just grew fruit for their own individual profit. Wyglav had his arms folded, and on his back was a large shield made with an ascended dragon's skin. The stretched out face of the beast was in the center. Beside him stood Valak, one hand on the handle of his sword, and now wearing the black armor of Bawal. Not too far from the 2 Dragon Knights was Dawn Windar. The plot that once had her home on it now only had the 2 graves of her parents. The months that passed visibly aged Dawn, though she still looked young compared to most of the other knights. Her hair was now as long as her mother's, and her face was more stern and mature. She held a long black spear in her right hand that diagonally crossed the back of her body with the point facing the ground. She was a warrior now, as her father wanted her to be. I still don't know why things happened the way they did. I still don't understand why the dragons targeted our family. An occasional warm breeze would pass through Dawn's hair as she spoke. I do know that the ones responsible still inhabit a large portion of this continent and wish to do our people further harm. I now have the means to prevent that from happening, and I will do so, in your names, as I have done everything up until this point, and will continue to do until the day I die. Wyglass walked up behind her. Sorry to interrupt, Dawn. We have one last day to train before the big battle. Wyglass, said Dawn as she turned her head slightly to look back at the veteran knight. The warm breeze had stopped. I am ready. The end, in case you needed any more proof that it was the end. Okay, so that's it for the prequel stuff. Let's see. Dude, there's some emotional heavy hitting stuff in there that I clearly don't remember. Jeez, Louise. What's up, Jays? Thank you for reading. It's my pleasure, honestly. Like, it's been so long since I've worked on a Soldier's Crest that, like, revisiting this. I mean, I've read the first book so many times while editing and stuff, but like, if we ever get to the second book, there's gonna be so much stuff in the second book that I don't even remember writing. Yeah, as Dan got in the book. Azadan, Quisty, Powan, obviously, Kel, Saiton, and Onikirimaru, and Laika, obviously. Laika doesn't really count, because Laika was my character. Those are all the Final Fantasy XI people in here, I believe. I don't think there's anybody else. Azadan I just added for the prequel. He's not in the first book. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everybody that made it in there. You said you wanted to rewrite it, like the whole story, or like part 1 or 2. I want to, when you're done reading it, there are scenes I want to cut out, but they're very spoilery. I think I was like trying to make it too much like Game of Thrones at times. And I want to dial it back a little bit. I also don't want Tarzan to curse as much. Tarzan curses a lot in that book. Although there's a line at the beginning you probably passed. One of the very first lines he says is like toward Valak. He's like, I'm surprised he hasn't like pissed himself yet. I don't know. I want to leave that in for some reason. I find that line funny. I don't know why, but that line has to stay for some reason. Yeah, I don't really know yet. I might just leave it as is and just do better in the books coming. But the first book is so important because it sets the groundwork for other things. Yeah, Mirror Story's got some extreme stuff. There's a lot of like people dying in the one we just read too. So we are going to do book 7 stuff. This is only 17 pages. I wrote this for a contest, and it was eventually going to become one of the books in the series. So it's not done, but what I have of it is pretty fun. So we'll read that. The original name of this was Imperium. I'm not tired. I feel a lot better. The headache is kind of passing. I got a little bit of a headache from foam stars. It was too many bright lights and colors. But I'm feeling better now. Definitely not tired. If anything, it would be the headache or my voice giving out, one or the other. Let's do this, and then we'll see how we feel after that. What's up, Spartan? Missed opportunity. I have the headset on. You could have jump scared me with iPipe. The one time you didn't do it. All right, so the original, I could give you a headache, Keb. Stop it. The original title for this was Imperium. It was called the Soldier's Crest. No, I don't even think it had a Soldier's Crest in the title because I entered a contest with this. I lost, obviously. The original title was Imperium because that's the name of the game that they play. But what ended up happening was when I got published. Still very loud. When I got published, there was another person, another author whose book was named Imperium, and I thought I was going to release all of these books at the time. I was very excited, so I just changed it to like Untitled. But it might still be called Imperium because it makes the most sense. Because that's the game they play. But all right. We play. I read their gamer tags or whatever last time, but we didn't read any of the actual story. So we're gonna read the story for funsies, and then it's only like I said, like 14 pages long. And then maybe we'll do like one or two of the stories from Ganavrand, and then we'll see what's up. It's already one. We'll see what's going on. All right. Watch my flank, the raspy voice came from a burly Marine running through a desert. His helmet covered his entire face, and a red visor crossed the middle where his eyes should be, or would be. A large assault rifle was held close to his chest as he brought his head up to survey the area. I got you covered, Flex, another Marine answered as he ran up beside him. The tag above his head simply read, Verity. What's your status, Bryn? The man giving orders was known as Flex Arm 5 on the field. Along with Verity, they made their way to the center of the battlefield where there was hardly any cover. Worse than yours, a high-pitched voice answered on the comm. I got Bark and Hera closing in on my 6. I know Beast is around here somewhere, too. Hold tight. Verity and I are on the way. Ever, take the sky ramp down to cut off the Beast. Flex motioned with his hand, and Verity ran on ahead. Verity's Marine was much smaller and faster than Flex's, but not nearly as powerful. Verity's Marine used a rifle for precision, but it lacked in damage compared to Flex's assault rifle. Ever After 719 hovered above the Marine tasked with foiling the plans of Beast. His Marine was a different sort from the others, much larger in size but shockingly nimble. It had no ranged weapons whatsoever, but instead a large double-sided battle axe. Each side of the axe was charged by electricity to inflict more damage. Very Halo inspired, by the way. You can already tell I was playing a lot of Halo when I wrote this originally, I'm guessing. Their opponents were much larger compared to their Marines. While Flex and his comrades' Marines represented that of normal humans, across the map were foes of a different kind. None of them were human. Each one took on an animal-like form, with most resembling that of a dog. Bark is in range, said Bryn. I have cover, but they know I'm here. I'm going to press Bark before Hera gets here. No! Hold your position until we get there, Flex screamed over the comm, but Bryn wasn't having it. She vaulted over her cover and initiated a fight with Bark. His entire tag read Barkus? Barkus 25. I'm assuming I was going for like a Brachus thing here, like the Dragonkin guy. Which was a combination of his first and last name in real life. Okay, that's helpful. Aris Bark. Known for his pro-circuit run during the high point of Imperium, he was the dangerous leader of the Dogs of Dogma. A complete mismatch for the up-and-coming Bryna Armara, whose first real skirmish was this one. Going by the tag Brincess, clever, she was determined to prove herself to the rest of her team. Activating her second ability, Dash, her stylish pink Marine avatar bolted in on Bark. His experience quickly showed as he outmaneuvered her on the battlefield. Armed with only a pistol, Bark planted 3 shots on Bryna and depleted her shield completely. Should I end your sister now, Flex, or should I wait for you to get here? He taunted over the shared comm between teams, and added a chuckle at the end. But his fun was cut abruptly short by 3 bullets in the back. With his quick reflexes, Bark got out of harm's way and into cover. He peered around the corner to see who had damaged him. Across from where he battled Brenna stood another Marine, though this one was a dark red color, and carried 2 pistols instead of 1. Out of the top of her helmet was long blonde hair that cascaded down to her shoulders. She ran beside Brenna and lifted her up, dragging her back to the cover she originally vaulted over. Thanks for the save, Callisto, Brenna said, holding her right arm. I was a little too aggressive. No worries, responded Callisto. Any sign of Hera yet? I saw her on my radar. She has to be close. Probably didn't want to kill Steel Bark. Brenna's shield was back, so she pushed herself up against her cover. I don't care what happens in this fight. When Hera shows herself, she's mine. Understand? Callisto looked over the cover and no longer saw Bark. I understand. Is he still there? Brenna was afraid to look. No, they're on the move. Stay ready. Let me lead and you cover me, okay? Okay. Brenna waited for Callisto's signal. She raised her right hand and counted to 3 on her fingers, then activated her second ability, Sky Jump, shooting her up and over the cover and back into the middle of the battlefield. The moment she hit the ground, a blast came from her right that she quickly avoided. It was finally her rival, Hera Hears Me 33, joining the fray. Brenna put her gun out and blind fired a few shots in Hera's direction, causing her to retreat for cover. Brenna, regroup with your brother. I'm going to pressure Hera. Callisto sky jumped again, this time out of Brenna's view. Was it have no cooldowns? Brenna stood up, dusting herself off, but staying cautious, knowing that Bark can't be far behind. She used the binoculars on her visor to inspect the sky ramp. She couldn't make out the Marines, despite their size, but she could see the names of her teammate Ever and his opponent, the Beast Exists. She never got to participate in a skirmish on her brother's team before, but she watched enough of his matches to know that Beast and Ever were always battling off to the side somewhere. Most of their epic encounters would last the entire match, either forcing a draw or leaving the remaining fighter left to take on the entire opposing clan. Looks like they're at it again, Verity said, slowly walking towards Brenna. Pretty amazing seeing it in-game, huh, Bren? Why are you always so casual during a fight? You don't even have your weapon ready. Aren't you afraid someone's gonna sneak up on you? I guess I never showed you my build. My secondary's active. It's called Counter Eye. He tapped the back of his head as he said it. Basically gives him eyes in the back of his head. Flex explained it for him as he approached from behind. His assault rifle was ready to go. It also counters the first shot fired at him from behind. That's really cool. I need to get a few levels so I could get a better secondary. Brenna double-checked her gun to make sure it was fully loaded. Hey, don't underestimate Dash. Verity finally readied his rifle. Ask your bro. I've gotten out of plenty of tough spots and scored some extra kills abusing that thing. That's enough. It's too quiet with no kills on the board for this round. The dogs are planning something. Flex pressed against the cover that his sister was using. Brenna and Verity did the same. What are you thinking? Verity asked. You want me to lead? I think we should wait, he nodded to his sister. Any progress over there, Ever? Nope. The sound of his axe swinging was heard through the comm. Nope. Another swing, and more nope. Callisto, any sign of Hera? Flex waited for a response but took another peek in hopes of seeing Bark. I'm still in pursuit. This could be a trap. I lost her somewhere over the bump. Her comm cut off, and the static noise that followed caused Brenna to hold her ear. S-word. Verity stood up and pointed his pulse rifle out towards the battlefield. Her hatred for Hera is going to cost us one day. Let's not make it today. Flex pushed over the cover and ran in. Verity ran up on his left, and his sister, though further behind them than them both, followed on his right. Brenna, you just watch my right side and shoot anything you see. Verity, you got my left and my back. Let's do this. Verity activated his secondary again and caught up to Flex with his lighter frame. They didn't make it far before a bone wall formed around them, trapping them inside. This is what they were preparing that whole time? Verity turned to face Bark for a second, but was forced back by a grenade blast. Flex, I'm outside the trap. Brenna ran to the right side of it, trying to find a way to bring it down. Bryn, fall back. Get to cover. Flex ran over to her side. There's no way to bring it down. It stays up for a full minute. Brenna stepped back, but the back of her head met the forearm of Bark's dog. The melee attack immediately dropped her shield. I didn't think I'd find myself in this position a second time this evening. Two more dogs appeared behind Bark. One had the tag Pruki88, and the other was Die again. My dogs have been hungering for some fresh meat for a while. What do you say we give the young lady her initiation? Leave her alone, Bark. The trap dropped and the boys were all at a standstill. Flex and Verity on one side, Bark, Pruki, and Die again on the other. Brenna tried to push herself up, but Bark put his foot on her back. Welcome to the big leagues. He pointed his pistol at the back of her head, but his weapon was shot out of his hand by Callisto. This girl is always interfering. Put her down already. Bark backed up as Flex and Verity seized the opportunity to put shots on the dogs. Die and Pruki stepped in front and returned fire of their own, before Callisto joined the fight. Hera tackled her to the ground and the two began to wrestle each other. Nyla, come in. What's your ETA? Flex took a shot to the arm but traded places with Verity to buy his shield time to recharge. About 20 seconds. You know how hard it is to get into position when you have to run the entirety of the sky ramp and avoid those two buffoons battling each other for the 100th time? We'll buy you enough time to set up. Verity activated his secondary again. He turned around on purpose to counter the next shot fired by Die, then returned some shots of his own. Die and Pruki were now on the defensive and used a similar tactic to Verity and Flex as they took shots for each other to buy time for their shields. Brenna was now back on her feet. She took a shot at Bark but missed and hit Pruki in the back. When the two dogs switched positions again, Pruki was already weak enough for Verity to completely drop his shields. Verity swooped in for the kill, but Bark pushed Pruki out of the way and switched weapons to a shotgun in enough time to drop Verity's shield in one shot. Verity stumbled backwards from the impact, and Die again finished him off with an end move. That's like executes in Halo. Damn, that looked sick, shouted Pruki. They really outdid themselves with this game. Pruki went to high-five Die again, but the entire battlefield echoed as a long gunshot filled everyone's ears. Pruki got blasted in the side of the head by a sniper rifle's bullet and immediately fell to the ground, shield and all. I was wondering how long your ace would take to get ready. Sky ramp, huh? Bark looked up past the two big brawlers. Nyla Nose 17 was hardly even visible from where he was standing. Nyla, I remember when she was still a rookie. I can't fathom how you convinced such a talent to join your squad of losers. An awful lot to say for someone who should be seeking cover, Flex pointed out. A well-positioned sniper can turn the tide of any game. Hera, quit toying with Callisto and remove that pesky sniper from the game. You too, Beast. Bark dropped the shotgun and pulled out a rifle similar to Verity's. We each have a kill on the board now. Hera got up and activated her secondary. Her dog's back opened up and grew wings, allowing her to fly up onto the sky ramp. Callisto, Flex yelled. Don't let her stop Nyla. She's mine, Callisto. She's mine. Callisto chased after her again. I trust you're already after Beast, Ever? A muffled and out of breath, yep, followed on the comm. But I guess it's just us. Flex dropped the assault rifle and took out a small dagger. Let's settle this like men. Do you really think I would let Die sit this one out? Where's the fun in that? Bark and Die both aimed their weapons at Flex. We're also not going to use knives. Both boys began firing at Flex, but he rolled out of the way before running in the opposite direction. Shield buff in front of you, Flex, Nyla called out. Thanks. How about a little evening of the odds? Flex rolled again, this time in front of him, and grabbed a glowing shield off the ground in one motion. This gave him an extra shield and turned his knife into a sword. That's cool. Getting a little heat up here from old Beastie, but I think I could work something out. Flex could hear Nyla was on the move on his comm, so he knew a shot wasn't coming anytime soon. A little extra shield isn't going to help you. Bark shot again, this time connecting with Flex's shoulder. The impact disoriented him momentarily, but he was able to gather himself to block the next shot with his shield. Is this a sword art thing? No. I wrote this like 100 years ago. He turned quickly to block another incoming shot from Die. Do you really think you could keep this up, Flex? Die moved around behind him with Bark continuing to press the advantage in front, before they could complete the pincer attack. Flex turned around and caught Die with his sword, depleting his shield. With Bark pressing from behind, Flex was once again forced to roll out of harm's way, but he no longer needed to worry about Die, as another sniper shot boomed through the battlefield, and Die collapsed. Thanks, Nyla, Flex said through the comm as he tried to catch his breath. Maybe I shouldn't wear as much armor next time, finding it a little hard to move. Yeah, maybe. That's kind of your thing, though, Nyla laughed. Whoa, beastie! Be careful up there. Flex yelled, but Bark noticed he was struggling to move in his armor and shoulder tackled him hard enough for him to lose the shield. The attack gave Bark a huge advantage as he once again switched to his shotgun weapon, but Brenna stood in front of Flex as the blast came. At short range, it was a one-shot kill. Bryn! Flex shoved Bark backwards, but his sister's avatar vanished before he could check on her. It was only a matter of time before I got that pest of a sister of yours. Now it's time to wipe out the whole family. Before he could finish, another sniper shot caught him in the chest. Nice shot, Nyla. Flex grabbed his dagger for the finishing blow, but the beast exists, leapt off the sky ramp, fell out of the sky, and landed between them. With a backhand, he killed Flex's avatar. Flex! Nyla shouted, watching the whole thing happen from her perch. Ha! Well played, beast. Bark got back to his feet. Nyla No 17, the shortest Marine on the field, picked up her large sniper rifle just in time to see Callisto running toward her. The rays of the setting sun glistening off her shiny black armor from way up on the sky ramp. Flex is down, Callisto said. Yeah, I saw. Nyla replied. What's the plan? I was hoping you had one. Ever added as he walked up to them. Usually don't fight many skirmishes where Flex dies in the middle of it. It's one of the longest skirmishes I've ever been in. That's the problem with games that have no time limit. Nyla picked up her sniper and entered her scope to make sure the dogs didn't move. That's what happens when you have good opponents. Callisto looked down at her pistols, then tapped the side of her helmet. Not a whole lot of bullets left here. I think I fired 3? I'm good. Nyla scoped again. Still there. They're not moving. Hera is where? I thought you offed her. I didn't see her up on the ramp. Callisto looked all around them. We should make our way down. She could be anywhere on the path, so keep your eyes open. One more scope before we go. This time Nyla didn't see anything. They're gone. Get behind me. Ever stood in front of them. Nyla, watch the back, added Callisto. Here they come. Ever readied his axe. The beast is mine. The beast was the one that led their charge. Bark close behind. A lot of secondary abilities flying around so far, Nyla said. Maybe we should change that. Yeah, Ever? Callisto peeked over his shoulder. You're up. Ever after activated his primary ability, and his avatar's entire body lit on fire. He rushed in toward Bark and Beast. I got this. Nyla turned and dropped down onto her stomach, lining up a shot between Ever's legs. The heat emitting from Ever's body began to do damage over time to Beast as Bark backed away. The damage was just enough to drop Beast's shield halfway. Nyla took her opportunity and blasted a sniper shot through Ever's legs, striking Beast in the thigh. The shot removed the rest of Beast's shield, and Ever went in for the killing blow. Whoa, nice kill, Ever. Nyla raised her arm to cheer Ever on. She's here, added Callisto. This is too good of an opening for her to not show up now. Right on cue, Hera emerged behind Nyla and shot her in the back of the leg. Callisto spun around and began firing at her with her pistols. Hera also used a similar style to Callisto, and the two began to shoot at each other with their pistols, each one trying to sidestep the next shot. Hera was the first to land a hit, which stunned Callisto. Nyla rolled over onto her back to line up a headshot, but Hera's next 3 shots landed consecutively on Callisto's head, killing her and forcing her body to fall onto Nyla. The distraction was enough to disrupt her shot, but Nyla blind fired a sniper bullet and lucked out. The no-scope blast removed the head of Hera's dog. As Callisto vanished and Nyla was able to turn over, she was just in time to witness Bark deliver the finishing attack on Ever after. His axe hit the ground first and rolled away from him as his large frame vanished. Bark looked past his last kill and right at Nyla, who was still on the ground. Can you ready your sniper rifle in time to end me before I could shoot you from here? Bark took another step toward her, his rifle pointed at her head. Doubtful. Though I'm shocked your team didn't utilize more than Ever's primary ability. We took it easy on you and didn't use any of ours. A moment of silence fell over the battlefield. Nyla started to ready her sniper and anticipated the first shot from Bark and rolled out of the way before she brought her sniper up and aimed it at his head. Before she could line up the shot she wanted, Bark shot another bullet from his rifle and forced Nyla to roll again. As soon as she finished this roll, she followed it up with another and rolled backwards, launching herself up and over onto her feet. Another shot from Bark's rifle forced her to drop down to one knee, and all in one motion she she scoped and fired. Her shot was meant for his head, but caught him in the chest instead. Her next shot missed as Bark spun out of the way. She quickly stood back up and tapped the side of her visor as he ran in the opposite direction. Gotta reload, she thought to herself. Need to find cover. Quick. I suppose I can't have all the glory, Bark said out loud in her direction. Okay, Hera, you can finish her now. Hera emerged behind Nyla and put 3 shots in her back, which forced her to the ground. I lied about not using any of our primaries. Bark walked over to Nyla. It really was a mismatch in levels and experience the whole time, wasn't it, Hera? My primary allows me to resurrect with a brief invisibility. You had no chance of winning this, Nyla. Do it, commanded Bark. Hera pulled the trigger. Nihilise Valterion removed her headset, which covered her entire head except for her mouth, and slammed it down onto the table in front of her. Damn! We were so close! She yelled, even though no one was in the cube with her. She put her controller down. The room she was in was often described as a pod, but known to professional gamers as a cube. Yeah, the pro gamers. Known to the professional gamers as a cube. A small rectangular room with a gaming station in the center. A small controller and headset often chosen by the player would be provided in front of the station. Stairs would lead up to the platform they would play on, and the room would be closed off completely from outside noise and interference. Not even your own teammates would be in the room, as every interaction was designed to happen over the comms provided in-game. Nihilise was a young girl, one of the youngest trying to break into the pro circuit. She was only 13 when videos of her play surfaced online. She was one of the top players on Planet Secure, a spaceship battle game. Though she became known for dominating in a real-time strategy game, or RTS, she would later become known for her high-level play in the first Imperium release. Though she was not part of a clan and had no interest in going pro at that time, her videos of her pro-like sniper kill streaks became extremely popular. But making videos of sniper kills became stale after a while, and she began to change her playstyle, becoming one of the best players in the game at utilizing multiple weapons to her advantage. This eventually led to her realizing that there were 17 different known ways she could kill someone in Imperium. Such a pretty name. Yeah, I really like her full name. She changed her online gaming tag, or OGT, to Nyla Knows 17 to reflect that fact. Nihilise walked down the steps in her cube and inserted a keycard into the door in front of her. The door slid open, and her team was waiting on the other side. Tough loss, a tall, muscular boy with spiked-up blonde hair was the first to speak to her. We'll get him next time. Felix Armara, also known as FlexArm 5, was the leader of their clan, the only one among them to have had the chance to play pro in the first Imperium. Felix used to run with a clan known as the Heroic Bandits, as if their name wasn't any indication that it wouldn't work out. They disbanded. I was about to say the name was kind of lame, but they disbanded after the 3rd season of competition in the first Imperium. Though his teammates went on to bigger and better things as part of other teams or going professional in other games, Felix was unable to land a spot on another team. At first, he was depressed that he couldn't find a new team, but he knew that his experience, however small, in the pro circuit could help him build his own clan. His fascination with bears and the planet Mars and the Milky Way galaxy helped him think of the name The Lost Bears of Sidonia. I know, but I should have had that, Flex. Nihilise walked over and embraced her leader. I didn't do enough research on Hera's primary. Meh, Felix is right. We'll just get him next time. The boy behind the OGT Verity was even taller than Felix, and extremely skinny. His light brown hair was shaggy and came down to cover his acne-covered face. Besides, I've done plenty of research on Hera, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time she's used that primary. Jess could probably verify that. It is. I've definitely never seen that. The voice behind Callisto answered. She must have just acquired that before this match. Jess Brule, the nimble and quick-triggered Callisto, was an extremely popular makeup artist online at an extremely young age. As a less attractive and less developed teen, Nihilise often looked up to her and her success. After she picked up Imperium, the first game she ever played, she began to play that more than focusing on her makeup career. Her videos stopped being about the newest mascara to make your skin less blue, we joked about this last time, and more about kill streaks and multi-kills. After being discovered by Felix just before the release of Imperium 2, she began to dive even deeper into the gaming scene. The only girl with more views and followers than her at the end of the first Imperium was Francine Gomera, the player behind Hera Hears Me 33. This led to their hatred for one another, and one of the most heated rivalries on and off the game. That's all I have. One of the most fun to write, but it definitely needs. I need to go over it and edit it a bit. There were parts that were a little confusing as to who I was referring to. Thank you, Mr. There were definitely some parts that were confusing. It's a tough enough concept to write for. Yeah, no problem, Mistral. I'm happy you enjoyed it. I'm happy you enjoyed it enough to bring it up that we talked about it last time to then read it again today. But yeah, there was like one there was one part where it made it seem like Callisto was Felix's sister, but he was actually talking, he was like nodding to Bryn, but like him and Callisto were talking. That was a little confusing. And there's another part where like Callisto is the one talking and she's like leaning over, she's trying to look over Ever's character, but it was confusing as to who was the he and who was the she in that situation. And Callisto is a girl, Ever is a guy, and that was a little confusing. But yeah, I want to know more about it. I would definitely read the book if you complete it. Yeah, I will most definitely complete this book at some point, simply because of the importance of Nyla in my stories. Nyla is really, really important. So I'll probably complete this at some point just because of her alone. But yeah, what else? Let me try to find where I have the stories from Ganavran. Honestly, like these stories, I had found out that Kindovella was a thing right before they launched it. I think this was like a couple of years ago, to be honest. I'm very tired, so I'm going to sleep. I'll see the rest on YouTube. All right, Mistral, have a great night. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. We're probably not going to go much longer. I'm going to read some of these stories from Ganavran things and then probably call it anyway. We've been streaming for 6 hours. So yeah, I'm getting to the end. I don't do many 6-hour streams. If we ever do a 12-hour stream, it's gonna be tough. All right, Mistral, have a great night. All right, let me find these stories. I'm not sure where I have them exactly. Probably their own thing, I would think, but I don't see them. Did I throw them? I might have lumped them in with fantasy distractions. Yeah, here they are. Did I write more? Yeah, I wrote these in 2021. So this was probably during when we were like on the downtime of when we were on the downtime of fantasy distractions. The one I really wanted to read is not one of the I'm just gonna read the free ones. Well, I'll just read like one of the free ones. I don't want to read any of the paid ones. I don't want Amazon to come after me. Okay. Let's see. There is a set like character in this story. I mean, he's only like, I mean, he's kind of like Set, but he's like in the crime boss way, and they also just refer to him as the boss. But other than that, they're not the same. All right. Gallifrey is a planet that is way more technologically advanced than most in the galaxy. In the middle of one of Gallifrey's largest cities, known as Heart City, is a sports bar known as The Bear. The Bear is run by the city's high rollers and is the place to be if you're trying to make it in the upper echelon on Gallifrey. So you might be wondering what makes the bar so much more special, especially when bars are a dime a dozen in Heart City. The answer is a bit complicated. Owned by a man, people in Heart City simply call the boss. It's nearly impossible to compete with the way the boss runs the establishment. The Bear is top tier in entertainment, from prize fights to the hockey-like sport hit time tournaments to virtual reality games, all manners of betting, and of course the more enjoyable forms of entertainment. The Bear legit has it all. On one night of the week, they have gambling night. Nothing's off limits for gambling here in the Bear, and it's fascinating to see what people come up with. The tech this place uses is top of the line, so it's super easy to just call over one of the many robotic employees to set up a bet. I once saw two people set up a bet that involved whether or not one of them could land their own hat on a customer that was completely unaware of their bet. You can just imagine the hilarity that ensued. I personally just like to spend my time sitting at the bar and seeing what ridiculousness the people that work here come up with next. They once had a very tall man, cyborg or robot. To be honest, I'm not sure which it was under the mask, dressed as a giant bear with a wrestling title belt around his waist. We all thought it was hilarious and extremely weird, but not nearly as weird as the fact that it became a recurring thing at the Bear, and this wrestling bear has become somewhat of a mascot here. I frequent this place a lot. As I said, it's the place to be. But I'd be lying if some of the rumors spread about this place don't make me a bit anxious when I'm in here. Many people believe it's just a front that the boss uses to hide some of his other, more shady undertakings. He'll show his face in the bar often, but the people in Heart City think that's just to keep up appearances. I like to believe he isn't doing anything too villainous, but I don't think the boss is a saint either. Probably not in my best interest to even say those words out loud, but it's possible there could be a drug ring or a black market weapons dealership right under my feet while I'm sitting at the bar. It wouldn't surprise me if the boss makes sure the Bear stays on top by any means necessary, if you catch my drift. Hard to have competition when there isn't any competition left, right? As long as he isn't coming after me or my livelihood, who am I to judge how a man makes his living in this city? Until things go south, I'll just continue to enjoy my time here, see what other quirky stuff they come up with next. Even if the boss slips up and stops being the top dog around here, there will always be a new spot waiting to become the place to be at. For now, though, I guess the motto holds up. They say no hustle hits harder than the Bear in Heart City. Heck, I'll drink to that. Then again, I'll drink to anything. Cheers. I actually do really like this. I should have used these for fantasy distractions. That's why I'm like so tempted to take them down and put them on fantasy distractions. This was the second one. It's very fantasy distraction style in the like way that it's done. Jasmine is definitely the fourth one, right? Yeah, that one's really good. This one, Jasmine the Siren. I'm really proud of that one, but it's one of the pay ones, so I'm not going to read that one, just in case. If you're unfamiliar with the landscape of Ganavran, then allow me to educate you. The planet is divided into 5 continents separated by bodies of water. The most relevant of these continents is Polar. It's the most populated and by far the most popular. If you live on any of the other continents, it is your dream to get to Polar. Polar is the home of Heart City, the land with the pillar states, and by far the most technologically advanced continent of the 5. Naturally, that means Polar is also the most chaotic, and at times the most dangerous. Having such a high population opens the door for all manner of people to find their homes here, And recently, things have been getting worse all over the continent. This probably started to ramp up around the time a man they simply called the Boss made his way into Heart City. His arrival meant trouble for everyone on Polar, and his influence on this continent grows more and more each day. It's making it very troublesome for the authority on this continent to keep things in check. The Trident Police Department are the ones trying their best to keep order here on Polar. The aforementioned pillar states surround the state of Oldbridge, which is located in the center of Polar, and within Oldbridge is the main hub for the Trident Police. I apologize for the insane info dump and location overload, but the last one we should mention is that state where the hub is. It's called Flelent. And not only is it home to the Trident Police's main hub, it also happens to be the home state of Amani Virtus. Virtus. Now you're probably wondering, who is Amani Virtus? Amani is what many people would consider a natural-born police officer. On Ganonvran, that actually has a double meaning. It means that she is one heck of a Trident officer, but it also implies that her physical body has never been tampered with. It isn't that rare on Ganonvran to see people with robotic enhancements that the people of Ganonvran refer to as advents. Typically, Trident officers are modified severely by advents to give them an advantage in the field when dealing with criminals. But despite not having any, Amani still managed to be top of her class. This is very like, I must have just started playing Cyberpunk when I was writing this stuff too. It's very Cyberpunk. Ever since she graduated from the Trident Academy, she's been proving day in and day out why she is one of the best Trident officers in all of Ganonvran. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that despite her accomplishments and success in Flelent, it was time for the Trident Police Department to assign her wherever she was needed most. Not too hard to figure out that I'm talking about Heart City. Amani packed up her things and said a few farewells, and off she went. The biggest and most challenging task she has ever been given is waiting for her there. Amani has already proven herself to be one of the best officers in Flelent, but she's well on her way to becoming one of the greatest Trident officers ever on Ganonvran. If she manages to take down the boss and his entire organization, she can easily be arresting her way right into the history books. Personally, I'd welcome some change in Heart City. The threat of getting on the bad side of the boss is constantly looming over the head of everyone who goes into the city. But we'll keep going because it's the place to be. If Amani can make it just a little safer for all of us, then it would be nice. She isn't going to be the first Trident officer to try, though. They've sent in quite a few officers from out of the city to investigate. It usually doesn't end well for them. However, this would be the first officer they're sending from the hub. And as I said earlier, Amani's above average. She could be just what Heart City needs, if she can survive. Alright. The third one I don't remember as much. This one, Tahir the Doctor, I don't really remember this one. The other two I kind of remember, and the Siren one, why does that activate the camera when I put my hand up like that? Whenever I rest my hand on my shoulder, it activates the camera for some reason. Okay. We'll do this one, and then I'll probably call it a night. The crime rate in Heart City is on the rise, and most people around here love to attribute that to a man they call the Boss. Though I'm sure he's got a lot to do with it, I think people just like to use that as an excuse to push their own shady dealings under the rug. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the rumors about the Boss are being spread by these particular individuals themselves. Put all the heat on one person and you could go right under the radar. Since everyone's so focused on him, I'd like to step in and bring people's attention over to some of the more worrisome parts of Heart City that aren't anywhere near the sports bar the Boss runs. I'm referring to what most of us here in Heart City call the Shadow Alleys. Home to all manner of degenerates, this is the spot to find the worst of the worst on Ganonvran. Though littered with shops and establishments that make the bear look like a funhouse, the absolutely worst of the lot has to be Need Ells. And yes, that is Needles spelt incorrectly for those of you wondering. The owner of Need Ells is a treacherous man by the name of Tahir. Tahir got his start in Heart City as a doctor before things went south. Not to say Heart City was ever really on the up and up, but at some point in time it wasn't nearly as bad as it is today. As properly run businesses began to fizzle out around here, Dr. Tahir could have easily taken his talents elsewhere and saved lives in the many towns, cities, or other continents on Ganavran. Instead, he decided to remain in Heart City and profit off of people's desperation. If you ask people like me, that makes the Doctor scum. If you ask most of his kind, wasting precious air here in Heart City, they probably think he's a genius. What an interesting way to turn a profit, they might say. It's an absolute joke. A kid could walk in off the street and get drugs if they stole enough of their parents' money. Trident Police quality advents are given out like candy to criminals. He basically runs discounts on a daily basis on any physical enhancements you can think of. You want to know the worst part of it all? These idiots go into him desperate to have work done on the cheap don't even know what they're getting themselves into. The drugs he's selling are mental stimulators with slight modifications that only make you think your pain is gone or you're correcting yourself somehow, when in reality it isn't doing anything for you. Occasionally someone is healed by coincidence from the meds, but it's rare. When people complain, he prescribes them a completely different drug that is supposedly stronger, and on it goes. I also heard that he has some way to track anyone using his pills, and he works out deals with other thieves in Heart City to give their location for a cut of the profit from whatever they steal from the poor saps. The enhancements he's given out all have their own side effects too. None that he tells you to your face, of course. I'm talking tracking chips similar to the effects of the drugs, and just faulty components put in place on purpose. Faulty parts are so you go back to him for a fix, and maybe ask for another enhancement while you're there. And even though it's his fault that your brand new robotic part malfunctions, he's still going to charge you for it. He'll cut off a bit of the price to make it feel like you're getting a sweet deal. But he's scamming you for all your money in your bank one way or another. The bear may be home to the monster in Heart City everyone is afraid of. Sometimes the monster right in front of you is safer to deal with than the monsters hiding in the shadows. If you're planning on visiting Heart City or you're a resident here like me, you would do best to remember that. Okay, I don't remember that one, but it wasn't bad. All right. Yeah. So I think that'll probably it. We pushed a little past 6 hours. I know it says 2 hours, but we did a 4 hour gaming stream right before we started reading stuff. So about 6 hours in total. Not too shabby. But yeah, I think I'm gonna take a break, rest my voice a little bit. Maybe work a little bit on that other thing I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, and yeah, I will catch you guys. We're definitely gonna stream tomorrow night. Probably more Grand Blue Fantasy. And then Thursday we're gonna do another writing stream. That's the one that I'm gonna try to start a little earlier, like around like 7:30 or something like that. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, that is. And then Friday I have no idea. Friday I guess maybe more Grand Blue, depending on how far we get. I've really been enjoying Grand Blue Fantasy, and I really want to get to the higher level stuff. So, we'll probably stream that tomorrow night on Friday, maybe. But yeah, so Final Fantasy VII demo was awesome. That was what we gamed when we were gaming. That's what we gamed. I must be tired. That's what we played when we were gaming. And then we read some Fantasy Distraction stuff. We read some Soldier's Crest stuff. We read some stories from Ganavran. We're all over the place tonight. But thank you guys for hanging out. If you're still lurking, I appreciate you. And yeah, that's it for me. Let me see if anybody's streaming in the writing section. Excuse me. Why didn't it play twice? Oh. It was just delayed. I was about to be very upset that I didn't play twice. I haven't watched that video in its entirety in a long time. I need to watch it after I end stream. Okay. Let me see if anybody is actually live in this section. Let's see. You're plat 3 again? Nice, man. One step to my journey to... Nice. That's awesome. Congrats. Have we hosted this person before? Don't believe so. Oh, we definitely did, yeah. I don't think they actually talk. I think that was the problem last time I hosted them. All right, we'll just wrap it up. Spartan, appreciate you hanging out. Everybody else who hung out, appreciate you as well. We will be back tomorrow night, and we'll continue Grand Blue Fantasy. I got a lot of stuff to work on writing-wise tomorrow that hopefully I can get done before we stream. It's possible I might start late or skip stream entirely. I'm going to try not to, but I really need to get that writing stuff done I was talking about at the beginning of stream, so I want to try to get it done tomorrow. I want to be really like aggressive with it. So we'll play it by ear, but I'm gonna try to stream. I'm gonna try to stream. So there's a pretty good chance we will stream. But just in case I don't, that's why. All right. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.